It's the morning star drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Friday, October 14th. And this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this wonderful Friday? We've got current news from around the world, the word study about the Wednesday message, and of course, let's testify with Thule from Australia. All right, everyone, how are you doing and how was your week? We're at the very, very end. Friday has come and I'm sure all of you are getting ready to enjoy another weekend. So I hope you guys look forward to some fun, relaxation, realization, new direction through the Sunday message. So let's get things kicked off here together on the Morning Star Drive. Just a reminder to everyone, let's keep liking these podcasts, keep commenting on them. It's kind of a way that we can communicate because, doing a podcast is very, very one-sided, meaning I'm just talking by myself, right? And as I'm talking, the communication we have is through the comments, is through the likes, because, some people might not want to comment anything, but you can communicate through liking this podcast also, whether you're on SoundCloud or YouTube. And of course, if for me, the best one is commenting because it builds the community and helps each other to get to know each other. And we get to express all the things that we're thinking about in our hearts and our minds too. So if you have any even just a song request, questions for Q&A Thursday, stories, testimonies, I would love to hear all these things too. For me, man, you know what? It's already like mid-October. Can you believe that? I can't believe it's already the 14th. That is crazy to me that we are 2 weeks in. We have 2 weeks left before the entire, we have 2 weeks left. Isn't that, for me, it's mind-blowing that we're already this far into October. It felt like we just ended September, but now we're in mid-October. For me, too, when I hit November, sometime in November, I'm going to be hitting my, by the end of November, I should be hitting episode 700. It's crazy. I can't even believe I'm at episode 700. I can still remember when I did my very, very first podcast, episode 1. I recorded on March 16th, 2020. I had this pin mic hooked to the back of a desktop computer that took forever. I'm telling you right now, because I have my laptop now that I bought, and when I was doing it through the desktop was a crappy desktop when I was in Malaysia. It was one of those desktops that no one was using. And honestly, guys, when I was recording and then also you have to save it into an MP3, whatever it is. It literally took 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours to save that into an MP3 file. And I was just oh my goodness, guys, I would say spending 6-7 hours on these podcasts every day trying to figure this out. I'm so happy that I'm doing this on a newer laptop. It's taking 4 minutes now. So I'm super, super happy about that. But yeah, I can't believe we're already getting close, end of October, getting into November. And, I'll be soon be hitting the 700 episodes. I'm at 670 something, I think. What am I at right now? What episode is this one right here? This is 674, which means that I have 26 more episodes, and I do 5 per week, which means in 5 weeks. So basically mid to late October is going to be my 700th episode. So I'm that's pretty crazy for me. If I just really thinking about that is nuts that I'm already close to 700 episodes. So I'm super excited about that too, just getting around the corner. I can't wait till episode 777. That should be the one I do something special or something along that line, but that should be a crazy one also. Today we have Let's Testify with Thule. Hope you guys look forward to another amazing episode, an interview she's doing, and it's going to be a testimony from Jew Star in New Zealand, and we know that she makes music, and we've seen her Sunday edition, so she's pretty awesome over there, and I can't wait to hear her testimonies. Okay, there's something I did yesterday. I'm gonna ask you guys if you guys do the same thing. So I was at a cafe as usual. I go once a day, right? And just to get out of the house. And I have my coffee and I get my work done. And then you have some extra time left. So I had an extra 30 minutes. So I thought to myself, I'm gonna do what do you call it? I'm gonna go fast watch a movie. You know what I mean? It's a movie I've already seen, super old. It was called Armageddon. but I wanted something more heroic, something that's feel good, right? Like save the world kind of thing. Because, that's kind of like the same business we're in right now, too. So have you guys ever fast watched a movie? Like you just kind of skip the parts you don't want to watch. You don't want to watch the dialogue, because you're just you want to see the good parts. So you kind of fast forward to the good scenes, you watch it, and then it moves into more dialogue. You fast forward that, and you're just looking for the good scenes, right? And, I was fast watching Armageddon, and as weird as it sounds, because I already know the movie, like when it got to the really sad parts, I'm not sure if you guys watch Armageddon. Bruce Willis, he sacrifices himself to save the world. So he pulls a Jesus, right? So he can sacrifice himself to save the world. And then he has this last conversation with his daughter. And he's like, I got to break my promise. I told you I'd be coming back alive, but I won't be. And it was just, I don't know. Honestly, even though I knew it, I was moved. It was moving. I'm not going to tell you if I cried or not, because you probably already know the answer. But it was really, really, I just had fun fast watching one of these movies that I've already seen. Just skipping. I don't know. Have you guys ever done that before? I don't know. If you guys have, just comment below. When's the last time you fast watched a movie or a drama or something along that line? I don't do it very often. It's just that when I don't have a lot of time, I just want something for something to get my mind off something for about 30 minutes. I'll just fast watch a movie. You guys been watching the poll? I think a lot of you guys have been doing the poll lately too on YouTube. Is how was your faith over the last 2 years? And the numbers are changing. They're kind of ever changing. So now we have about 39. The highest is 39%. So 39% said during the 2 years it was difficult and your faith was not as good as it was before, right? And then you have 24. So a quarter of the people are like, it was the best ever. And I'm assuming that they're just crazy introverts that like to be alone. That's my assumption. Please write in the comments if that's not true. Like if you're someone who's like I'm assuming in my heart, because I'm an extrovert, that extroverts had a very, very difficult time. Me, I had a difficult time, as I told you before, but about 24% said they had the best faith ever. And then in third, out of nowhere is good, like good faith. I mean, it was growing. And that was 20%. So good and best ever. So these are very, very positive is 44%, right? 44%. And interestingly, the difficult and the terrible, if you add them together, it's about the same. So it's about 44% on each side. So it's quite interesting to see how people have been doing, but the not majority, but we're looking at a good 39% were having difficulty in their faith during the 2 years. But we have some more people that are still going to be voting on this too. So let's see how you guys vote on that also. And you know what's interesting? Because, a lot of the message we've been getting over the last, say, this year in 2022, a lot of it talks about self-reflection, even more over the last 2 months. And, I have been thinking about myself, and I was listening to some podcasts that some psychologists that would help you out with self-reflection, like what are some questions you can ask yourself? And it's very interesting because the word tells us to self-reflect, right? The word does. The word says, look at yourself, self-reflect. And it tells, and basically we get this generalization of pray and think deeply, right? But sometimes I do think one of the things that does help is when we are able to go to an expert and they're able to, because they're not telling us who we are. They're just kind of leading us with some questions to make us think about ourselves. And I do think it's a very, very good idea for a lot of us to, when Sunseem says to self-reflect, he doesn't tell us step by step. And the reason is because every person is going to be different. Right? Not everyone is going to be able to self-reflect the exact same way. Some people will go off on a retreat by themselves, go camping, they'll realize about themselves, where another person will be completely different, where they need to talk to someone in order for them to realize more about themselves. It's just everyone is so different when it comes to self-reflection, and I do think it has to do with knowing yourself and understanding who you are. And I don't know, this is something you can write in the comments too, is what is the best way that what's the best way for you to self-reflect? Do you have to be alone? You're better off alone, or are you someone that needs a little bit of guidance, someone who needs the right questions? Because even when I do word studies, I see that everyone gets the same word, but to actually break it down and study it, people need help. They do. It's just a normal thing. There's not a lot of things that we're experts at, not a lot of things that we know really, really well about. and we just need some help in it. Like, that's why we have segments like Health is Happiness we had 2 days ago, and that is helping people with health. Like, a lot of people think about, oh, healthy just means go exercise, but then we're learning in Health is Happiness about what you eat, how you eat, what fasting does for you, right? What are the things to avoid? And sometimes because we don't know, we don't avoid them, right? And we're actually hurting our health instead. So that's something that I do think is, this is why we need each other. This is why we need to really study a lot when it comes to biology or when it comes to psychology, sociology, because you'll learn so much about yourself from people where their whole duty, their whole job was to just figure out the mind of people or how people interact with each other. So I found that quite interesting. I don't know what you guys think about that either. I have seen some people who are very traditionalists in Providence, and I call them a traditionalist basically means that they say that, no, only the word. The word has all the answers, so you cannot study anything else, only the word. And honestly, I don't think that's the right way to do it. To think that the word is that the word will solve every single problem just by looking at the word over and over and over and over again. No, I do believe we need experts. And Sunseep's talked about it many times that, yeah, we need experts, right? We need experts to help us out in certain areas, right? And this is why I would even say that finding, like we talked about finding your mission yesterday, like how do you find the right mission for yourself? A lot of it has to do with what you're good at. And what's your expertise? And that's probably the better things that you should be doing. Either way. So, if you have any thoughts on that, go ahead, write that in the comments below too. Espresso with Sky, new video, Divorce and Remarriage, is coming out on Thursday afternoon for us over here in the Western countries. But over there in Asia, it'll be Friday morning around 7 or 8 a.m., which means probably in a few hours for some of you, or it's probably already come up for some of you listening to this right now too. So go ahead, check that out. And to really support that, watch it and click the like and leave a comment, and that's going to be the thing that's going to really help out the algorithm. And of course, subscribing and the notification bell is also a big one too. So yeah, the algorithm is always changing, but if you guys can do that for me, that would be great. All right. So let's get into some music from member artists from around the world. Who is our featured artist of the day on this relaxing Friday? We're going to listen to the Sumney Boys from America. I just spent some time with them about a few months ago back in Houston. I can't wait for them to have some more music coming out. They also talked about Mariah Henry. Hopefully she'll get some more music coming out over there too. I went to go karaoke with them, so that was awesome to go with the Sumney Boys and with Mariah, and that was really cool. Mariah can sing. Oh my gosh. Well, you could tell by her music too. But this song from Sumney Boys from America on this Friday feature artist of the day, we're going to hear the song, my favorite from their last album, Tales of a Longing Heart, Nothing Could Go Wrong. After that, we have Youngse from South Africa with her new song that came out, I believe, a week or 2 weeks ago. That's No Gain in Complaining. And then we'll end things off with Renee Lai from Taiwan with a cover of a song from GEM, and that song is Angels.
Be a fast life, a short life, depending how you living. Nothing could go wrong if I'm with you, it's so fulfilling. If you keep the time, really God walks with you. Not even just walks with you, he will even talk with you. That is right. Been feeling life is different, everything depends on me. And having my own thoughts, that's really a test to me. The more I make myself, the more valuable I become. I have to take action, that's the final outcome. How could I ever forget the moments that we spent together? It's those past memories that will put you together. It's what you do after the mess up that counts. I give glory and thanks even in times of doubt. Don't just say you have the heart but don't do it. You say you want, you gotta show him and prove it. You have to be a life the Lord really remembers. Don't just walk around for no reason, do better. I have the Lord, then nothing could go wrong. I can't be scared to proclaim it, I have to tell the world. Foot on the gas, pushing the pace as I start this race. I have to get my mind straight so I can become great. The time I have now, I really must cherish. It could be gone at any moment, it really just vanish. I know it's been a while since I sat and even wrote a song. I wonder if my words sound good or even flow at all, and how I wanna share your words to the entire world. Alright, I'm sorry, let me fix myself. If I think of you, I know I will do well. It's times like these, I know I will prevail. Yeah. Don't just say you have the heart, but don't do it. You say you won, you gotta show him and prove it. You have to be a life the Lord really remembers. Yeah. Nothing could go wrong if we do it together.
Looking for faults, flaws, and mistakes, causing some mistakes on a beautiful scene. God, Holy Spirit, and Holy Son, Lord, blessing me. Truly, it's like a dream, but if my thoughts ain't right, things don't look right. It's all about the windows that I look through, determines how I see what's true. Complaining, complaining, there is just no gaining. Complaining, 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 it's draining my strength and my powers. It's what complaining devours. Rather raise a praise for what God has made ours. Now whatever comes at me, whatever surrounds me, whether I feel captured or whether I feel free, it's totally up to me. Cause you see, heaven's in the heart, and that's the art that the Lord has shown. No matter what's thrown at him, he always has a thanksgiving hymn to sing, glory to God to bring. What a happy human being. Complaining, complaining, there is just no gaining. Complaining, complaining, complaining is draining my strength and my powers. Is what complaining devours. Rather raise a praise for what God has made ours. Love, grace, forgiveness really given to me. So if I'm feeling down, gotta check what I see. Could I be blinded by my negativity? It gets in the way of feeling how they're blessing me. Yeah. Complaining, complaining, there is just no gaining. Complaining, complaining, complaining is draining my strength and my powers. It's what complaining devours. Rather raise a praise for what God has made ours.
别怕漫长的黑夜，抬头看看星星，此刻正脸呈现。也许是一场考验，看散落的心灵， 此刻是否并肩？当你祈祷能看见奇迹，你是否相信？那答案就是你。你是最平凡却最温暖的天使。此刻风雨里，可惜有你的坚持，你带泪的笑容，有天会带来雨后的彩虹。世界因为你在痛里有感动，多少次沿路颠簸，多少大雨滂沱，都曾度过，尽管会怕会难过，同舟的你和我，再不必退缩。当你祈祷能看见奇迹，你是否相信？那答案就是你。你是最平凡却最温暖的天使，此刻风雨里，可惜有你的坚持，你带泪的笑容，有天会带来雨后的彩虹。世界因为你在痛里有感动。
And that was Renee Lai from Taiwan with the song Angels. That's a cover for GEM. Before that, Young Se from South Africa with their brand new song No Gain in Complaining. And of course, feature arts of the day. That is the Somebody Boys from America with the song Nothing Could Go Wrong. So let's get into some news going on around the world. And as brides of this history, we take responsibility by praying for all the different things that are happening. And this is why we need to watch the world news. Number one, we need to watch it to report and pray for the things that we see. Two, see what God is doing. And last but not least, what are the things we can comfort God's heart in? That was a great question yesterday from the Q&A, so hopefully it answered a lot of your questions out there too. So let's start off with Russia, Ukraine. What's going on over there in the region of Kherson? Russia to evacuate civilians from occupied region as Ukraine advances. The Russian-installed leader of Ukraine's southern Kherson region, Vladimir Saldo, has called on civilians to evacuate, citing daily rocket attacks by advancing Ukrainian forces. He urged them to save themselves by going to Russia for leisure and study and asked for Moscow's help. The call was later echoed by Russian Deputy Prime Minister Marat Kuznulin. In a message on state television, Ukraine rejects accusations that it targets its own civilians. Its troops have recently retaken some areas of northwestern Kherson, closing in on the regional capital. The government took the decision to organize assistance for the departure of residents of the Kherson region to other regions of the country, said Mr. Kuznulin, who has special responsibility for southern Russia and Crimea. And he also said that they'll provide free accommodation and everything necessary. So among other weaponry, Kyiv has been using U.S.-supplied HIMARS rocket systems to great effect, targeting key Russian-held military targets and threatening to cut off the bulk of the occupying forces on the west bank of the Dnieper River, also known as the Dnipro in Ukraine. Kherson is the only regional capital seized by Russian forces since Moscow's invasion began on February 24th. Ukraine's military has been tight-lipped about its troop advances in the key region that borders Crimea, the southern Ukrainian peninsula annexed by Moscow in 2014. What are some other major developments that happened yesterday? All of Ukraine, with the exception of Crimea, was for some time under air raid alert, and Russian missile strikes were reported on energy and military targets in the Kyiv region and Lviv in the west. 2 people were killed in shelling in the southern city of Mykolaiv, and dramatic footage showed a young boy being rescued from the rubble of a destroyed house there. Both Kyiv and Moscow confirmed that 20 Ukrainian service personnel were exchanged for 20 Russian soldiers in the latest such swap. Russia accused Ukraine of hitting a residential building in the Russian border city of Belgorod. Russian President Vladimir Putin met his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan and proposed building a gas hub in Turkey as an alternative supply route to Europe following problems with the Nord Stream pipelines. So that's kind of what's going on over there with the Russia and the Ukraine. Let's move over to China. Something very interesting that it may not seem interesting for other people around the world, but very, very rare in China, as protests against President Xi happened before Party Congress. A rare protest attacking President Xi Jinping and China's COVID restrictions has taken place in Beijing days before a historic Communist Party Congress. Images showed 2 protest banners on a bridge in the northwest of the city. The protest appeared to have been swiftly stopped by the authorities. Frustration has been mounting in the capital before the Congress, and there has been an outpouring of anger online at strict security measures and the COVID restriction put in place. Authorities have tightened access to the city, shutting out many travelers, returning residents, and deliveries. Others had their movement restricted or were forced to quarantine. The images and footage of the protests that have been circulating showed 2 large banners unfurled on a bridge in Beijing's Haidian district. One read, "No COVID test, we want to eat. No restrictions, we want freedom. No lies, we want dignity. No cultural revolution, we want reform. No leaders, we want votes. By not being slaves, we can be citizens." The other called on residents to go on strike at school and work, remove dictator and national traitor Xi Jinping. Video from the scene showed unexplained thick plumes of smoke on the bridge, and a man could be heard chanting slogans into a loud hailer. A BBC team visit to the scene later found no trace of it, but there was a visible police presence in the area. The week-long 20th Party Congress, due to kick off on Sunday, will see about 2,300 top officials and party delegates descend upon the capital. China's leader Xi Jinping is expected to be handed a 3rd term, breaking decades-long tradition and shoring up his already firm grip on power. The capital usually sees strict security measures in the lead up to important events. Street-level security has been strengthened with paramilitary police patrolling subway stations and neighborhoods near the Great Hall of the People, where the Congress will take place. Authorities are cracking down on the use of virtual private networks, circumventing China's firewalls to restrict access to the internet beyond Communist Party control. But in an attempt to stamp out small COVID outbreaks in Beijing as the Congress nears, city authorities are enforcing much stricter measures than most other parts of China. Tens of millions of residents are being tested every 3 days, with screenings for entry to all buildings enforced and mask-wearing mandates policed. Officials have also heavily restricted the number of people entering the city and discouraged residents from leaving. Many people who traveled to other cities during a recent National Day holiday found that their online health codes, essential for travel around the country, suddenly indicated they were at risk of COVID infection, preventing them from getting on trains or flights back to Beijing. Others who managed to return to Beijing saw a similar change in their health code days after returning, according to online accounts, forcing them to quarantine at home. It comes amid a growing fatigue among ordinary Chinese with the zero COVID strategy that has seen harsh lockdowns and quarantine measures long after other countries have eased restrictions. The frustration is at odds with the celebratory mood for the 20th Party Congress on display on state media and institutions. Red banners marking the Congress have popped up around the capital. Popular mobile apps have changed their display colors to red. A drama recapping the highlights of the last 10 years of Mr. Xi's rule has begun airing on primetime television, while similarly themed exhibitions are being held around the country. So as you can see, the way China does things in a communist country, it's one of those things where you look at and you're like, you don't want to be in that situation. Like he's going to go for a 3rd term. He's going to be there for a while, probably until he dies, but Yeah, I don't think anyone, like, we're already upset about the way COVID was handled in these Western countries. Like, it was just too extreme. But, you look at China, it's like way overdone, right? It's very draconian more than anything else. So I hope it's something that we will pray that we'll never go into that situation, all right? Last but not least, let's go into the U.S., number one economy in the world, and news comes that inflation rises more than expected in September. Consumer prices in the U.S. rose more than expected last month in a sign that the inflation fight in the world's largest economy is far from over. Inflation, which is the rate at which prices rise, was 8.2% in the 12 months to September, down from 8.3% in August. Despite the fall, the figure was still higher than forecast. Inflation in the U.S. is being closely watched as the U.S. central bank's efforts to tame the problem push up the dollar and global borrowing costs. The rate is well above the central bank's 2% target and means the Federal Reserve is likely to continue to keep raising interest rates in an attempt to cool rising prices. The Fed needs to react at the next meeting and continue to keep policy tight until there is some sign that inflation is under control. And this is from the Chief Investment Officer at Premier Miton Investors. This print raises a level of uncertainty and is bad news for the economy overall. But for consumers in particular, the peak in interest rates will, in all probability, be higher now. It's difficult to find any positives in this for the economy or markets. Inflation in the U.S. has dropped back since hitting 9.1% in June, helped by a fall in fuel prices at the pump. Costs for clothing and used cars also dipped last month, but the issue continues to affect other parts of the economy. Grocery prices have jumped 13% over the past 12 months, and housing and medical costs are also rising sharply. Excluding food and energy, inflation jumped 6.6%, which is the fastest rate since 1982. The composition of the inflation reading is perhaps even more worrisome than the overall number, and this comes from the chief global strategist of Principal Asset Management. Increases in shelter and medical care indices confirm that price pressures are extremely stubborn and will not go down without a Fed fight. The Federal Reserve has already raised interest rates 5 times since March, opting for unusually large hikes in recent months that have unsettled financial markets and led to sharp slowdowns in sectors like housing. By making borrowing more expensive, the Fed is hoping to reduce demand, especially for big-ticket items such as cars and homes, and ease the pressure pushing up prices. But by slowing activity, the Fed also risks tipping the economy into a recession. Analysts see that outcome as increasingly likely since inflation has proven stubbornly resistant to the Fed's efforts so far. And with midterm elections looming in November, President Biden has tried to make the case that the slowdown in economic activity is a healthy shift from the growth surge that followed the pandemic, pointing to robust job creation and low unemployment. Now, stock markets fell sharply following the report, then rebounded at midday, and many analysts said they are hopeful the Fed will slow the pace of its rate hikes after its next meeting, noting signs like a decline in shipping costs that seem to signal that inflation might be subsiding. All right, so that is what is going on over there when it comes to the U.S. and inflation. It's not getting any better right now. As much as people are trying to say that there's not going to be a recession, most financial analysts say we are already in one, and it's all around the globe. And, when we look at this type of thing that's happening right now, and if we were regular people, we could just look at it at face value, but we're not. And we are spiritual people and people of faith, and we need to understand why this is happening, right? And we can see there's a big, strong, it coincides with what is happening spiritually, what is happening with sunsteam and stuff like that too. And we need to be those that really, really pray for that situation. Okay? So there it is, guys. That is the world news. So let's move into some sporting news. Happy to say the NHL, the National Hockey League, the #1 sport in Canada, has finally begun again. Super happy about this. So a lot of games that happened last night, including my hometown Vancouver Canucks. But it was start off with the Carolina Hurricanes defeating the Columbus Blue Jackets 4-1 in an all-Canadian matchup. Montreal defeats Toronto 4-3. Boston beats Washington Capitals 5-2. Colorado Avalanche, last year's Stanley Cup champions, defeat the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks defeat the Seattle Kraken 5-4. And this game I watched yesterday, Vancouver Canucks versus Edmonton Oilers. Man, it was crazy. We scored 3 goals in the first period. We were up 3-0. And then Edmonton scored 5 straight goals and we lost 5-3. But, you know, they have the best player in the league. It was Connor McDavid. But, of course, we call him Connor McJesus. And he's, you know, he scored 3 goals. And he was so good. But after watching that game, I only have 2 weeks left here. So my family, me, my brother, my mom, and my dad, we all decide to go watch a Canucks game together. So we bought tickets, like while the game was on, we bought tickets together. So we're going to be watching a game on the 24th on a Monday night. So really, really happy to go watch that game live right before I head over to Malaysia. So we're going to be playing the Carolina Hurricanes, having a farewell party with my parents and my family, going to watch a hockey game, which is cool. All right, in Major League Baseball playoffs, it's the National League Divisional Series. Both of these games, both these series are tied up 1-1. Atlanta, the Braves, defeated the Philadelphia Phillies 3-0, and then San Diego surprisingly beats the LA Dodgers 5-3. Last but not least, we're going to soccer. It's the UEFA Champions League that's going on right now, and big games that went on. Barcelona ties International, and Barcelona has a very low chance of qualifying. They need to win, and other teams need to lose in order for them to reach the knockout rounds. Liverpool just destroys Glasgow Rangers 7-1, and Mohamed Salah, fastest hat trick in Champions League history. He did 3 goals in 7 minutes. And for Liverpool, they just need to win or tie to make the next round. Tottenham defeats Frankfurt 3-2. And they need a win to qualify for next round. And Bayern Munich defeats Victoria Plzen 4-2, and they have qualified. So who are the teams that have qualified already? It's Bayern Munich, Club Brugge, Manchester City, Napoli, and Real Madrid. Those 5 teams have qualified already, and other teams are just on like the brink of qualifying for the knockout round. All right. So there it is, guys. That is the top news in the world and in sports. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. But you know what that means? It is the golden time. And yes, it is the golden time, a time of praise and worship to the Holy Trinity. I hope all of you are looking forward to giving glory to God and the Holy Spirit. So what are we going to praise today? Today we're going to start off with the Lord whom I miss, and then with the truth, and I have only God. So as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
light of truth is shining on me. I see my spirit's face shining so bright. The light of truth is renewing my heart. It's guiding me towards blessings and grace. This is the only path, and I'm surely on it. I see God waiting for me at the end. All I've gained, I have gained through the truth. Everlasting life, everlasting love. All I've gained, I have gained through the truth. Rapture of my spirit, my life as a bride. Jehovah's great light shines on the light of truth has conquered the world, and every other word is put to rest. The light of truth fulfilled history. The greatest will of God has been fulfilled. This is the only path, and I'm surely on it. I see God waiting for me at the end. All I've gained, I have gained through the truth. Everlasting life, everlasting love. All I've gained, I have gained through the truth. Rapture of my spirit, my life as a bride. Jehovah's great light, His great light shines on me. His shining light, Jehovah's great glory shines so bright. His glory shines eternally. Jehovah's great light shines so bright. His brilliant and eternal light. Jehovah's great glory shines down.
Even if all disappears, God's perfect will lasts eternally. Jehovah's glorious light shines in this land, and we finally see that our dreams are fulfilled. Now we will shine for eternity, lighting the world with the truth, with the word that we preach. No one makes everything possible. A happy future is possible. Fixate characters possible. Now we will rapture impossibly high. We have gained everything, this path of truth. Always the word of truth, eternal word of truth.
We can do anything through truth. With the word we can win for sure. God's word flows on without end. So as we act, we will take flight and see miracles. All I've gained, I have gained through the truth. Everlasting life, everlasting love. All I've gained, I have gained through the truth. Rapture of my spirit, my life as a bride. All I've gained, I have gained through the truth. Everlasting life, everlasting love. All I've gained, I have gained through the truth. Rapture of my spirit, my life as a bride. forsaking me. You are my help. Mighty God, I am yours to love evermore. Mighty God, I am yours, your bride for all time. From all the world you've chosen me, and now I have firmly set my mind. I will certainly live according to your will. Mighty God, I am yours to love evermore. Mighty God, I am yours, your bride for all time. From all the world you've chosen me, and now I have firmly set my mind. So I certainly will fulfill your will, my God. You're my Jehovah God, who has led me this far. Please lead me all the way. I'm calling on you alone, and living by only your word. With all your authority and your power, you constantly help me. With all your authority and your power, you keep me from harm. You are with me all the time, always giving me strength and hope. I've nothing to fear, because I only look to my God. You're my Jehovah God, who has led me this far. Please lead me all the way. I'm calling on you alone, and living by only your word. With all your authority and your power, you constantly help me. With all your authority and your power, you keep me from harm. You are with me all the time, always giving me strength and hope. I've nothing to fear, because I only look to my God. With all your authority and your power, you constantly help me. With all your authority and your power, you keep me from harm. With all your authority and your power, you constantly help me. With all your authority and your power, you keep me from harm. You are with me all the time, always giving me strength and hope. Have nothing to fear, because I only look to my God. Have nothing to fear, because I only look to my God. Have nothing to fear, because I only look to my God.
And what an amazing song that is. I have only God. Before that, With the Truth and The Lord Whom I Miss. All right, so now that our hearts are prepared and made ready through the time of praise and worship, let's get into today's word study. And of course, every single Friday, we are going over the Wednesday message that was given. And of course, a little bit different these days because only the Sunday message comes out and the leaders have to extract from the Wednesday message. And it's not like a repeat, but it's more of sharing more deeply about the Wednesday message. So this week's Sunday message, or the Wednesday message, is same as Sunday. It's word and prayer. And I hope that everyone really was able to listen well to it. The very first thing that I really liked that when I listened to the preacher was it was like, we need to wrap up this year well, right? And for us, that can mean a lot of different things. It means to repent. It means to do this. There's just a lot of things that we think in our head, right? And I like how Sunsim just kind of summarized it in a very general way and says, okay, if you want to wrap up this year well, you need to pray, right? Pray centering on the word. And that's a very important thing that we have to think about is, what does it mean to pray centering on the word? Well, when we get the message comes out and says word and prayer, understand the value of the word, know Jesus to realize the value of the word even more. So there's a lot of these words that come out from the Sunday message. So how would I pray according to the word? And praying according to the word means you're praying the things that the word is telling us to do. For instance, you pray, God, reveal to my heart. Help me to realize the value of the word. I'm praying to realize the value of the word, right? Even before I listen to a Sunday message, a Wednesday message, what are we praying for? God, open my eyes, open my heart, empty myself so I can receive the word. And what am I doing? I'm praying, centering on the word, whether it's to listen to the word, whether it's about me realizing from the word, whether it's me taking something from the word and saying, man, I got to realize more about Jesus, and praying to God and say, God, this week, I really need you to open up my heart so I can realize about Jesus more deeply. Because this is the only way that I can listen to realize the value of the word. So what am I doing? My prayers are going according to the word. It's centering on the word. A lot of times people are wondering how we should pray because like, oh, I pray for the same. I pray for my health. I pray for my finances. I pray for my family. I pray for my spirit. But what else do I pray for? And what Sansim is saying, we got to pray centering on the word. There's a lot of things, we're praying for a Sansim situation. And, we look at that and say, well, what is Sansim saying? Sansim is saying that we have to do well. Sansim has done everything that he had to do, but we have to be the ones that do well, right? And especially when it comes to this week's message, those are the two things we should be absolutely focusing on, which is the word and prayer. And if we want to wrap up this year really well with this last, 2.5 months. Well, Sansim even says that December doesn't even count because it's the month of judgment where all the things that we've done over the last 11 months will come out there. So we really have to do well these last 6 weeks that we have remained, 7 weeks we have remaining. And we need to think about it and say, okay, so what does this mean for us then, right? It means that we need to wrap up the year well with prayer that is centered on the word, especially this week and last week's word and prayer, okay? And of course, when the way that when you look at the prayer and the word, they come together as one. And I think that, remember that time when Sansi was talking about like there's 3 things that come together, like body, soul, spirit. But Sansi was saying prayer, word, and praise. Like those 3 things have to come together, right? But prayer and the word, the prayer is considered to be, prayer is bullets and the word is the weapon. Right? So it's going to be like, so basically if you only pray and you don't really study the word at all, listen to the word, it's like being a soldier in a war with only bullets and no gun. But if you do the other side and you only listen to the word, but you don't pray at all, then you're the exact opposite and you're a soldier with a gun, but you have no bullets, right? And if you think about this, it doesn't matter how great the bullets or how perfect the bullets or how nice the gun or how powerful the gun is. One without the other it's meaningless, right? You can't do much with it. Like even if you have the best gun that can destroy all your enemies, but if you don't have any bullets, the best you can do is use it as like a staff or like a bat to hit someone with, right? But all these other people have guns too. They're both a pair and they're absolutely needed, and we need to have both. We need the word and we need the bullets, the ammunition for that word, which is prayer itself. So I really hope that we can pair these things together properly, and that every day it's not just about prayer and it's not just about word, but both of them need to be there. Like, think about it this way. Imagine you listen to the word so much, but you don't have much prayer. Then it's like having like these, like a big array, an arsenal of guns, right, in the spiritual world, but you only have like 2 bullets, right? That doesn't help either, because what if you have like 10 enemies coming, but you only have 2 bullets? It makes no difference. You're going to have 8 coming, 8 will be able to pass through and be able to hurt you. So I hope that we too can understand how important it is to have both these things. So this week's message and last week's message, one of the big key emphasis is about, and I'm gonna be repeating this a lot because that's something we need to get into our heads very, very deeply. We believe in the same God as the Jews and as the New Testament. Old Testament, New Testament, we believe in the exact same God. We believe in the exact same Messiah, Jesus Christ, in the New Testament. We are no different in that area. We actually can be called, we're Christian because we believe in Jesus as the Messiah. There's no other way to get to God, the Father, unless it's through Jesus Christ. There's no other way. We believe that we are in the same as that area. What is the biggest thing that changes us is not that we believe that Jesus is coming, there's a second coming, because the New Testament believes that Jesus is coming back again too. The biggest difference is we believe that Jesus came again in spirit, and he's carrying out his history through the man of mission. And this is why only those that listen to this word receive Jesus with the Holy Son and become brides. And this is how we fulfill salvation in the rapture, right? And if we don't understand this really well, what's going to happen is you're not going to realize the value of self. Because what does it mean that how does that, realizing that Jesus came in spirit and carries out this history, right? And us, how does that give us value? How does it help us to realize the value of ourselves? It's because, think about this. We believe that we've already received the Lord's second coming. And now we've become brides of this history. Having that, understanding who we are brides, that changes everything. It's understanding your identity. That's the value of you. Right? This is why, a lot of people, when people realize, when children realize, oh my gosh, that's my father, that's my mother. Oh, I am the child. I am the child. These are my parents who love me so much. It changes everything about their life because they realize who they are, right? In that moment, at that age, at that level, right? And us too, when a child grows up, they realize even more when they realize who they are as a person. They realize their character. They realize that they are independent. That's another level and stage where people begin to realize the value of self. But for us too, on a spiritual level, we have to realize how big that is, because the Spirit is the most important thing. So if we've received the authority of a bride, if we've received and we become the brides of God, the Holy Trinity, how big is that? That's when we realize, this is who I am. This is the value of myself. That it doesn't matter what you are like or what's happening to you right now in this world. Why? Because being the bride of the Holy Trinity, being the bride of God, outweighs all the other things that may not be working in this world. It's bigger. It's greater, right? It's almost like you being a prince or a princess. And then, in your individual life, some bad things may happen. You might have failed a test. That might have happened, right? But in the end, you're still the prince, right? You're still the princess. You're still realizing, this is who I am. Yeah, I'm going to have mistakes. Yeah, I'm going to make these, some things may not work out in my personal life, but who am I? I'm the prince of this country. I am the princess of this country, soon to be king, right? I have to realize who I am, realize the value of self, right? And us too, we are all kings that will reign with Christ for 1,000 years. So, we have to realize more about the man of mission, we have to realize about Jesus, right? That's what we do. Jesus is working through, the Holy Son is working through the man of mission. And we went through the exact same process as in Sansim 2. He realized that all the words in the Bible was all about Jesus. He read the New Testament, read the Old Testament, and then he realized Jesus will come back. But not only just realized that, he realized Jesus comes back in spirit and comes back not as a child of God, but as the bridegroom. So when you look at our history is not 44 years. It's 6,000 years. And this is why we have to realize we're the continuation. Like we are the continuation of the history of God. And this is why Sunstein keeps telling us, you need to have some pride in this history. Don't lean to the left or the right just because people say bad things, just because people are against you. What does that mean if you center on the word, if you know what we are, if you realize we are 6,000 years in the making, right? We are the ones fulfilling the purpose of creation where God is the most happiest. Then we're not going to lean left or right because we realize, like, oh, this is what it is. When you realize the word, you're not going to lean to the left or the right. When you realize the word, you center on the word, then you'll realize the joy of the ideal world we're trying to make and we're going to after we die, right? That this love is not going to end here. It's going to continue. Like Sunseem realizes this. How do we know? Because even though he's in the crappiest situation so many times, he's still doing what he needs to do. He still has the joy of this history. He still realizes God is with him no matter how hard it is. There's a difference between knowing, realizing, like what history we're in, having that sense of pride. Because once you know, that's like how satisfying that is, how worthwhile it is to be in this new time period because you know. Once you know, it's like people arguing like, oh, are you a boy or a girl, whatever it is. If you know who you are, if you know you're a boy, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. I'm a boy. I'm a man. Come on, it doesn't matter what you guys think about it. I already know who I am. That's the truth. Right? It's the truth of knowing, knowing something that other people don't know, right? We have to reach that level, right? We have to reach to that level. We're in the new history. Have the pride that we're in this history. Like, I like how Sunseem said in the Sunday message, it doesn't matter how long your faith is, how long you've been having your faith. Do you know clearly? That's the key. You can be here for a long time, but the question is, do you know clearly? That's the key. And this is why these messages are being delivered, because we have been praying. So over the last 2 months, that's why Jesus has given us these messages, right? And this is why all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're learning more about Jesus again. Jesus is like, I've heard the prayers. It's time to learn again. It's time to learn again. And these words have been delivered for the last 2 months. Go back, check the Sunday messages from 2 months ago and see clearly where the shift happened. Where Jesus is like, yeah, you've been praying. Now let me teach you again. This is the greatest message of this year, these last 2 weeks, where basically the messages can end here. There will not be a single, imagine there's no other single message left. Somebody's like, no, it's okay. Because this is it. This is everything. Right? This is the greatest message. And if you realize about prayer and the word, this is where you make those confessions like, hey, God, God, I have nowhere else to go. It's like Peter's confession. Where else can we go? Will you, when Jesus said, will you leave too? And Peter's like, where else are we going to go? Because the words of life are here. We need to be the brides that confess. And this is one of the things we should pray for, centering on the word. Pray to God and confess. I have nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else I want to be because the words of life are here. What is the greatest secret we know right now? The greatest secret of all things that we've learned is it's all about love. And I hope that when things get difficult, when we start to kind of, start to bicker, get mad, complain, or get angry at each other, because we all make mistakes, in the end, we have to think about the love. Like the love is the most key and important thing, right? That's the most important thing. In the world too, if love breaks, everything breaks, right? That's the same thing in Provi. It's the same thing with spiritually too. We cannot break that love between us and God and the Holy Spirit, the Holy Son, Jesus, and with the man of mission. We don't want things to shatter and break, right? People say, hey, fulfill heaven on earth, right? And this is what we're trying to do. But we also realize from the Sunday messages, it'll never be perfect like heaven. It'll never be like that. And this is why God focuses much more on the body. On the spirit than the body. The body's eventually going to die. And it's not the body can't go to the eternal world. And this is why this situation right now that we're going through, don't be discouraged. Physical situations are not going to turn out well all the time. They're not. But the will be fulfilled through the spirit, not the body. And this is like when I heard that, it's like that makes so much sense, because when you look at Jesus' life, Paul and Peter, James and John, Stephen, all these people like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Moses, all these people physically were going through terrible times. Physically, it was a bad situation, but yet, because they kept their faith, because they believed, because they did not shake, they were fulfilling the will through the Spirit of loving God absolutely with all their heart, will, and life. And no matter what the situation was, they would love God. And that's what we're going through right now, right? We have to be in that same mindset. It's not about, only if things are good, I'm going to love or praise God. It should be the same mindset of, you know what? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. If this is really about love between me and God, then what difference does it make what happens in the physical realm? It doesn't change my love. Yes, I can ask God. Yes, I can talk to God about it, but why would it change anything? Your physical body is not the most ideal. I know this firsthand. I'm 44 years old, and I look at myself when I exercise, work out, play sports. It's not the same. When I get injured, not the same. But the body's enough for this earth. But it's not enough for heaven. It's not enough. Your body is not enough to fulfill the eternal hope in the spiritual realm. It's enough only for this earth. And it dies and it ends when we're done. So if anything, if we're going to be those that are absolute and strong in our faith, the object of our love, the apple of our eye, should be the Holy Trinity in Jesus and the man of mission. If we can do this, then we'll hold on to them without being shaken. We're not going to be separated in our hearts. We'll be unified, right? But to make them the apple of our eye, to make them the object of our love, this is when all the other things fade out in the background. So I really hope, one thing that Sunsim always he's been talking about a lot for the last 2 months is, don't fight with each other. There's no point. Take care of each other, respect each other, love each other, encourage each other, cheer each other on, be united, persevere together, take care of the younger ones, whether physically or spiritually. Don't put people down. But we have to be those that carry the hope for others. So I hope that all of us here, God is going to make us prosper. He will. In all of our different situations. And we just got to keep going until the end. Don't be discouraged. Do what you need to do until the end. And wrap up this year really well. Right? The one thing at the very end is, even if it's the end for people, it is not the end for God. That is powerful. Even if these people you looked up to, right? And they leave Providence, or God forbid, say something passes away. Do you think it's the end for God because those people left or because Sunsim died? Is that the end? Nah, even if it is the end for people, it is not the end for God. All right, so that I really wanted to end on that point. It's not the end for God, right? So keep moving, keep pushing, keep going. Sometimes they're tough and hard, but hold on to the object of our affection, to the apple of our eye, which is the Holy Trinity in Jesus. Okay? So that is the word study for today on this wonderful Friday for the Wednesday message. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Leave a comment below if you have any comments you want to make about how you felt about the word study, or excuse me, or if there's something there you're like, oh yeah, that's, I wanted to add this point too. Go ahead and do that. All right? So Let's move into the song of choice for today. It's usually a musical Friday. And I want to choose a song that I listened to. Remember I told you at the very beginning, I was watching a movie, fast watching, it's like skipping and skipping. But there's a great song from that movie, Armageddon. And I hope it's something that all of us can think about too. Is the song's called I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. And I think that's the same thing for us too. When it comes to this history, we don't want to miss those things that are happening. We don't want to miss the rapture. We don't want to miss Sunseam preaching the word. We don't want to miss these things that will never happen again, right? So I was, for me watching that movie, I wanted to watch something heroic. I wanted to watch something where there's great sacrifice. So it inspires me like, oh, I remember this movie. It was so inspiring. And the music played a big role in it too, but I really, really hope that you guys will enjoy this. This is Aerosmith with I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
I could stay awake just to hear you breathing, watch you smile while you are sleeping, while you're far away and dreaming. I could spend my life in this sweet surrender. I could stay lost in this moment forever. Every moment spent with you is a moment I treasure. Don't wanna close my eyes, I don't wanna fall asleep, 'cause I miss you, baby,
And there it is. That is Aerosmith with I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. And that is from the Armageddon movie. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. Very inspiring song. Makes us want to be heroic, right? Maybe just me. Either way, so let's get into the last segment for today and for the entire week. And of course, we all look forward to this. This is Let's Testify with Tuli from Australia. And this week, another amazing testimony. She's interviewing Star from New Zealand. Hope you guys really enjoy this. Everyone, please welcome Tuli from Australia with Let's Testify.
G'day fellas, it's Tuli here, and this is the next episode of Let's Testify. This is a place for Providence people from all over the world to share testimonies about how the Trinity is working in our lives. And even though we are thousands of kilometres apart, I just looked up how far England is away from Australia, and it's 15,000 kilometres away. So even though we are that far away physically, we can be so close just by sharing our stories with each other over this amazing invention of the internet. So please feel free to reach out to me on my email address below, the Let's Testify email. And this week we have two testimonies. Firstly, there's my own testimony about practicing transparency with family and friends about our current situation. And Star from New Zealand will share her experience of being healed twice from sickness by praying, and not just praying, but praying with belief. And I believe that's related to the sermon from the 11th of September. Everything is possible for the one who believes and takes action. And actually, for next week's episode, we're starting to look into what keeps people positive about their lives. Worldwide, we are coming out of a long time, years of instability in regards to the pandemic. We've also got this ongoing devastating war between Russia and Ukraine. We've had the passing of the Queen, and there's also been a lot of disruption with supply chains and a major shift in how people work, like whether they're completely working from home now because of the pandemic, or a bit at work or a bit at home. So we've had all of these big changes that have happened in our lives. So and now in Providence, we have this very shocking situation that has happened with Sonsengim. So I can see why it's difficult for people to remain positive these days. So if you've got something that you'd like to share with brothers and sisters across the world in Providence about how you keep positive during these times, just reach out to me on the email and let me know how you're going. What are a few key points that's keeping you buoyant, that's keeping you hopeful at this time, or you can actually send me a recording as well. Either way, that's fine. And I look forward to hearing what you guys want to say about positivity in your life. So we'll get into these two testimonies for today. I think it was sometime last week, Pastor Sky was talking about the benefit of being transparent with newcomers and family members about Sonsengim's current situation. I can't remember all of the details, but the key takeaways for me were that it's much better to discuss our situation with newcomers and family members before they find out through the media, which would be a very shocking way to find out. And if they first find out through the media, it really leaves us on the back foot. Like, we'll be reacting instead of being proactive about the situation. So if we are proactive, we can make the chance to discuss reasonably and openly with them beforehand. And this can be really beneficial in building trust in relationships. And it helps those that we're close to digest the situation in a calm and organised setting, and they'll have a good chance at understanding the situation from Providence's perspective rather than being hit by slander first. So I found for myself that when I prayed for the Holy Spirit's guidance and wisdom about how and when to discuss Sonsengim's situation, people responded surprisingly well, much better than I anticipated, and great conversations were had. And I learned that transparency is not just about truth. Like in the past, about 15 years ago, in my early years in Providence, I was verbally and a little bit physically also attacked when I came to Providence through people close to me. So I acted very defensively at that time. But this time around, I'm really relearning what transparency is. And it's about being calm, relatively unemotional, studying the facts that I need to know about the past court case, and what's happening now as best I can know, and being prepared in advance to discuss these things in a calm manner. So I'll just very briefly share about 2 times over the last week that I've been practicing transparency in. Last week we had something is broadcast, right? I couldn't watch it in my town because there's no physical church here. So I decided to travel by plane to watch it because for me, I felt like that was going to be a historical sermon and I definitely needed to be there for it. So for my mum, who I live with, for me to leave, home without much notice and leave for a few days, it was a bit shocking for her. And I made sure I explained as best I could in that situation and really calmly that my church was facing some slander and that I really wanted to be there in person with them. I knew that when I got back to my town, that I'd have to have a full conversation about it with her. So in the meantime, I asked Jesus to really work on my mum. My mum's a very sincere Christian. So I asked Jesus to really work on my mum's heart and help her to calm down and to be able to converse reasonably with me about it. And it ended up being the best conversation that I've had with my mum about Providence, even to the point that the next morning when we were setting our daily 7 a.m. family prayer together, just between her and me, not, my whole family, just mum and myself, mum just started praying for Sonsengnim spontaneously and praying for all Providence people not to be scared by persecution, but to preach boldly. So that was the first situation. And then the next night, I caught up with a newcomer. She had already listened to around 7 Bible studies. So when we went out to dinner, she said, "Oh, so what happened? You went to Sydney quite urgently. What happened?" So I had a really great opportunity to give her a general understanding of the situation, about what happened in the past. And we also had a chat about the Korean court system and the media. At the end of the conversation, all my friend had to say were just words of sympathy, really heartfelt words of sympathy, like, what a bummer that, Sonsengnim has to go through this again. How terrible for him. I hope these 2 experiences encourage you to be calm when you're talking to family and friends, and maybe to read up a little more on what happened in the past and learn about what's happening now in more detail, so that you're not shocked, when people bring it up with you, and you can respond in a mature way and have a great conversation that actually builds trust instead of creates suspicion. And now we have Justar's testimony. This is Justar from New Zealand, and I'll let Justar take it away all on her own. Thank you, Justar.
Hi, Morning Star Drive. I'm so thankful to be able to testify on this segment. My name is Justar. I'm in Wellington, New Zealand, and I'm testifying about how I was healed. So recently I've been very busy preparing and having concerts with Orchestra Wellington. And it's really been a great opportunity to play with them, something that I didn't want to miss out on when I was asked to do it. So it happened about a month ago. I had these rehearsals going on, and then, oh no, I felt I was getting a sore throat. And I was at work. I also work at a cafe during the day, and I said to my boss, I think I'm getting a sore throat. Like, it really felt sore. And my boss was like, no, please don't call in sick because we haven't got any staff. So I was in this situation that I really can't afford to be sick. I really need to be well so that I can attend the rehearsals and go to work. So, in the past I have prayed before when I got sick or felt like I was getting sick. But I felt in the past I had skepticism. I didn't have 100% belief. But because of the direction of the word, that's really been emphasizing absolute belief, and my prayers have been about increasing my faith to have absolute belief. So I felt that if I pray with absolute belief, I will be healed. So I made sure to do my physical responsibility of drinking a lot of lemon, honey, and ginger. I had about 4 cups of that. And then I really prayed earnestly, confessing my belief. And I also felt like I will testify. I promise that I'm going to testify when I'm healed. And then, bing, next day woke up and I was fine. I didn't have any sore throat. So I was so thankful, and I really felt like, I need to testify. And it was coming up to Tuli's segment being 1 year since she started this testifying segment. So I felt like, yes, I'm going to testify. here on this segment on Morning Star Drive. So I contacted her, and I also testified to my co-workers the next day saying like, yes, I don't have a sore throat anymore and Jesus has healed me. So I am truly thankful because I gained the confidence at that time to be able to put my hand up and say, I have been healed through prayer. I can say that it worked. And even it's something that, like, you know, sometimes someone asks, oh, did anyone really get healed by prayer? But I can absolutely say it now. I can truly say, yes, I have been healed. And then it happened again. So about 2 weeks later, I was in the same situation where, again, I've got rehearsals for this concert that's happening in, you know, less than a week, and we're busy at work. And then felt I was getting sick again. So again, I drank this kind of immunity juice, this booster juice, and I prayed, and I had said, well, you know, I testified the first time. So I really believe that since I was healed once, you know, I'm going to be healed again. I confessed and believed it so much. And then, yes, indeed, overnight I was healed. Hallelujah. So I absolutely confess and testify that I was healed through prayer. And so I want to give glory to the Trinity, testifying in the month of giving glory. And I hope everyone receives strength from this, and have the strength to pray, and also let's do our responsibility to take care of our health as well. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Justa. I love these stories from our daily lives, and thanks for just sending that in to me. It's wonderful to hear. So that's it for Let's Testify this week. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys want to say about being positive and hopeful in your life in next week's segment. Have a wonderful weekend and peace.
And thank you so much, Tuli, for another wonderful episode of Let's Testify, and great testimony from Star and the healing. I really hope that all of us here too, if you guys have your amazing testimonies, it is a time to testify, especially during this month of giving glory to God. If you have any other testimonies, go ahead and leave it you can send the email to her. Her email is Tuli's email is going to be in the description below in YouTube and in SoundCloud. So if you want to leave something behind, go ahead and leave it there. All right. So there it is, guys. Last segment for the entire week. Hope you guys have an amazing and awesome weekend. Looking forward to another amazing Sunday message, and we'll see you guys again on Monday on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone.